All right, so I wanted to share my thoughts on this news here, and this is from a Wrap article. It is about Yellowjackets ending with season 4 at Paramount Plus slash Showtime, right? I guess it's now both that they're doing, or it's like called Paramount Plus with Showtime or something, but it originally started obviously on Showtime. So anyways, the article here says production on the final episodes of the Showtime drama begins in 2026. So it's kind of a confirmation of the show, ending with season 4, and then also the news that, they have the schedule for the production starting for the season, and it will begin in 2026, which means that I'm assuming probably later 2026, I would think, right? I'm kind of thrown off. Like, it's insane to me that this, season 3 premiered earlier this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thrown off. Maybe it's me, or maybe you guys feel the same way. That that seems so long ago to me that this show was on, because it was right at the beginning of the year. I think it was Valentine's Day, right? Was the first episode airing? So. Yeah, that feels like so long ago, and so to think that, it's coming out next year, it's like, wow, that seems soon, but yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. But anyways, with all that being said, I've done a couple videos, on this. First of all, I did my review for season 3, which is a bit of a longer one, but I really kind of dived into things, and at the end of that one, I talked about, where are we with this show right now? Like, where should we go? What's going to happen here? And then I also talked about when the news of it being renewed, right, for a season 4 here, right? I talked about on the channel, should this be the final season? Like, again, I'm talking about the future of the show. So this news is kind of just confirming a lot of the stuff that I was talking about in those videos and that I've talked about on the channel previously. Even with season 2, I started kind of bringing this up of like, okay, I'm just not really seeing the 5-season plan that Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson, the creators of the show, kind of promised us and have really kind of, reaffirmed over and over again, since season 1. I think, to be fair, like season 2, I think a lot of people were like, okay, still 5 seasons, but especially after season 3, that was kind of the turning point, especially for me, especially the way it ends. It was just tough to imagine 2 whole, seasons more, unless they were going to do something kind of crazy or out of the box, right? In that, maybe we have a whole 5th season of just the teenager timeline after they've been rescued and just like their time at home, right? Or something like that. Like, that was really the only possibility that I could have seen, how that would work with a 5th season, just because of what they've done with season 3 and to a lesser extent with season 2. They kind of, I don't want to say jump the shark, because I do think those moments in season 3 were earned, but just, I don't know, like, it just, something didn't all come together with this show, and I think it became pretty clear, again, in parts of season 2, but definitely in season 3, that this 5-season plan that they had laid out, obviously something happened here. Either, and I don't want to accuse them because I don't think they were, but either they were lying about the 5-season plan or something changed here. Now, to be completely fair to them, I think that Juliette Lewis, I think that whole thing that happened there, whether she was justified in leaving because of the way that the story was going or the way that they were writing her character, or whether she kind of stepped out on them randomly and they were kind of left to scramble and come up with something to write her off the show. Either way, whatever you want to believe or whatever is the truth, that happened. And that was a big thing, I think, that really kind of pivoted the show, especially with the adult timeline. I mean, you could see in season 3, how that affected it, because to me, I think if they really did have the 5-season plan and they really had this all mapped out, there's no doubt in my mind that, Juliette Lewis, Natalie, was at the center of that in terms of the adult timeline story going forward. And so when you have her leave the show, what do, right? Like, even if they had the 5-season plan, what do they do now, right? It's out of their control at that point. And so they have to pivot and they have to do something else. And obviously what they came up with season 3, it was underwhelming, right? Just as it was, really for a large extent in season 2 as well. talking about the adult timeline specifically. So, yeah. So again, there's that, and not even to go into the fact that I don't know. I could be wrong here, but I still think that we, at least from what they've said and the reports around that time, was that we still haven't seen the whole missing episode of footage for season 2. That still hasn't come out. They said that we may at some point see it or something like that. I think a lot of this stuff had to do with Javi and where he was. They shot a lot of footage like that. And even at the end of season 2 in those last few episodes, you can tell that stuff is just kind of missing, when scenes are cut short and things don't make, complete sense. There's a couple things missing there. So, and I think that was in large part due to Showtime really rushing them. They really rushed them. I remember at the end of season 1, again, maybe Showtime was right because of season 1 being such a big hit, but I remember even before I think season 1 ended, and this was going to be in about January of 2022, I think. Right? It must have been 2022. Yeah, that's crazy, right? I think, yeah, because it aired in 2021 in November or December. Anyways, they said at the time, we will see season 2 in this calendar year. That's what they promised fans. And so, that is insane, to expedite that much. And so, clearly, there was issues there. Now, having said all that, yes, there have been some circumstances around the show that have really affected maybe their original 5-season plan. And even with all that being true, they just haven't been able to pivot to me to really correct those issues, and or maybe they didn't have a full plan as they kind of led on to us at the beginning. So with all that being said, let's read a little bit from this article here, and then I'll kind of share my thoughts here at the end. So Yellowjackets will reach the end of its survival mystery with season 4. The drama series will conclude with the upcoming 4th season, with production on the final episode set to begin in 2026. Season 4, like previous seasons, will be available to stream for Paramount Plus premium subscribers. Very interesting stuff here that we got, and this is, I guess, a quote. And so this was posted on Instagram, on the Yellowjackets Instagram, and I know I'm a little bit late to the post here that was made. But anyway, so we'll read the quote here from Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson. I believe it's signed A and B, right? So after 3 incredible seasons and great consideration, we're excited to announce that we will be bringing the story of Yellowjackets to its twisted conclusion in this 4th and final season. We've always known there would come a point when the story would tell us it wants to end, and it's our belief that our job, our responsibility, is to listen. Telling this emotional, wild, and deeply human story has been a profoundly meaningful experience and a true honor for us. We're so very grateful to the brilliant cast, crew, and writers, right, who've bravely gone on the journey with us to bring it to life. Most of all, we want to thank the fans who have stayed with us through every moment, mystery, and meal. The Hive is nothing without you. We can't wait to share the final chapter with you and hope you find it delicious. So really great, play on words there. And, obviously you got to give credit to them, for creating the show and creating, moments like that they reference in the statement for us fans that just immediately get it and really respect it. So it says, Season 4 will likely follow the same rollout schedule with a linear debut Sundays on Showtime. And it says conversations are also underway with Lyle and Nickerson to extend their partnership with Paramount beyond the show. So that's really interesting, right? I mean, we're kind of jumping ahead here, but I guess that's really the next conversation is, especially once Season 4 is here and it finishes, what are Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson going to do next? That's really exciting. That's something where, a lot of these shows, especially from, names that aren't very familiar, that really break out with a show or even a movie, what's his name? The guy who did Barbarian and Weapons. What is it? Zach Krager or Klager? I'm forgetting his name now. But anyway, something like that, right? Who comes out with a movie like Barbarian, kind of out of nowhere, right? What is he going to do next? Well, he does Weapons next. And so what's Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson? What's their Weapons? What's their next show going to be? So that's really exciting, to look forward to something like that. So anyways, so it says the series was renewed for season 4 in May after reporting 19% in viewership growth compared to its previous finale. The renewal came ahead of the merger of Paramount and Skydance, which brought new leadership to the streamer and network, set on putting their stamp on its current slate. So that is also an interesting part of this too. That can't go, without mentioning, and that could also be part of why this is the final season, beyond just the fact that, National Alberta Nickerson obviously are not going to come out and say that. They're going to say that, this is the time down in the story and all that. But yeah, I'm sure that there was some meddling going on, with them. Maybe they didn't like Yellowjackets that much. The new, people coming in with the merger, I think it's the Ellison or whatever. And so maybe they were also involved in kind of saying, okay, let's kind of, wrap this show up. Let's kind of, they want to make their own shows. They want to make their own slate. So kind of let's get this out of the way kind of thing. So maybe that could have been the case here as well. And also, I believe like Showtime now with Yellowjackets ending, and I think they canceled or announced the other shows ending. And so there's only like one drama series now on Showtime, or maybe there's none now left after these few shows finish up. So it's crazy. I think Showtime is just kind of a dying, channel, network, whatever you want to call it at this point, unfortunately. But anyways, so that could be part of it. But yeah, I think this quote is really great, though. I think them saying our responsibility is to listen when the story is telling us that it's over. Obviously, this is something that a lot of shows and a lot of creators should have taken, should have listened, where, a lot of shows went on for a long time and probably too long in a lot of cases. And so, yeah, I'm happy that we're going to get a hopefully satisfying conclusion to this show, especially being kind of a mystery box type of show that is really, important that we have an ending that sticks the landing, and we're not just left off with this cliffhanger finale and get answers to nothing, right? So there are still some questions out there about the show. Obviously, we want to see them rescued. But I don't know. I'm still going to watch season 4. I'm still going to be there the night of the premiere, even though I had my problems with season 3. I did think it was a pretty big step up from season 2, actually. There were certain moments and episodes of season 3 which I thought, were really impressive. And will probably be up there in my, top moments, top episodes of the year by the end of the year. So I still really like parts of it. I think season 4 will still offer a lot of those moments. Will it be a satisfying conclusion? Will it be worth the wait of all these years, watching the show now? Will the payoff be there? Hopefully, right? But yeah, is this, the best, case scenario for the show at this point? I think so. You ask me that question back in 2021 after watching season 1 and what they had set up with the finale and all the stuff that they teased, I would have said no, right? Let these guys do what they want. Let them do the 5-season plan. They've mapped this all out. I want to see the whole thing. But yeah, now we're 3 or 4 years later, and things have changed. The show has obviously had to pivot a few times, like I've said, maybe out of their control, or maybe they just made some mistakes along the way, whatever it is. This is where we are now, so I think this is the best case scenario for the show. Again, I will definitely be there for season 4. When it comes out probably next year. I would think maybe I think the production is going to start very soon in 2026, very early. And so I would think, September, October would probably be the time about when we would get, season 4, the final season of the show. Should be wrapped up all by 2026, by the calendar year. So I'll be there. I'll be ready to watch the final season here. I think this is good news overall. Yeah, obviously it's going to be kind of bittersweet to see it end, but like I've talked about, it's going to be really interesting to see what these two do next, and I'm really hoping, that, Paramount or whoever it is, right, gives them a good deal, gives them some, agency, gives them some, that creative control over some things, and lets them create something else, because just really impressive minds, really impressive creative people, behind this. So yeah, really looking forward to season 4 next year in 2026.